Open your mind. Now, visualize your mind.
What?
Visualize it. Give context to it.
You do know the mind is an abstract entity that doesn't really exist, right?
Not if I force you.
You know, you scare me sometimes, buddy. But alright.
This is your mind.
My god. It's full of stars.
Every thought is a star. Every idea is a galaxy.
That actually makes sense.
I just felt after your outburst on Canadian news last month, I needed to train your mind.
I mean, that's what I get for living with a sidekick. A sidekick, or a sidekick.
Was it wrong I have expected this place to be empty, or an insane asylum, or a hammy musical?
Well, this is my mind palace. Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome.
What the hell was that?
What?
Something's off.
Oh! You mean the giant Smarties falling down from the sky?
Did you eat before we started this?
I thought that was optional.
Eating isn't optional. You die if you don't eat.
Only if it kills me.
Christ.
Smarties are great! You British people all know. They're a staple of petrol stations and tuck shops everywhere. I even learnt on my travels to the strange far-off land of Canada that they have them there too. America though, what the hell is this? What is this nonsense? This is a Smartie. This is a Smartie. This is a... Wait, what the hell is that? Okay, Mewtwo, are you just messing with my head now?
Do I look like I know what Smarties Meltdown for the PS2 released in 2006 exclusive to Europe is?
Je ne sais pas. I'm going to clarify. This game exists. This is real. What kind of game can you make based on chocolate sweets? Let's find out. And we'll do it with the PS2 in my mind.
You're just jealous you have no experience with PlayStation.
Actually, I played Simpsons Wrestling for the PS1. Although, God, I wish I hadn't. That is a surprisingly calming yet surprising opening.
Some call that childhood.
I call it time for Smarties.
This was a mistake.
You want to know what kind of game this is? You can tell from the very first thing you see. Blank baby blue screen, black Comic Sans. This is how you make a great impression. I see it as a reflection on society. How the comicness of the world is washed away by the blue that represents... Smarties. The opening cutscene reveals the plot. Yes, plot. Smarties Meltdown has a plot. What? You didn't know Smarties have lives? You didn't know that an evil villain called Dr. Sour Sweet wants to eradicate every Smartie so people will buy his sweets, so he invades the Smarties factory in space, which leads to a blue Smartie falling down a pipe and grabbing an exosuit? What's wrong with you? Of course, this raises many questions. Why are Smarties from space? Who made the Smartie exosuit? Why doesn't Dr. Sour Sweet understand the demand for sour sweets? Why is the blue Smartie voiced by Dave Benson Phillips from the CBBC show Get Your Own Back?
Let's get on with the games!
This is the most British thing I have ever witnessed. And also the plot reminds me of Abe's Odyssey for some reason.
I just had to be free. And I didn't even know I had a destiny.
This menu is a work of art though. The sort of thing you expect from the Wii shovelware era. Boy, were they ahead of their time. My favorite part though is this simple option. You have the usual play the game, options, credits, help. Just help. Weird though what happens when you actually use it. In actuality, it's an in-game manual that has a lot to say about Blue's exosuit. It's like a novel. Anyway, starting the game, we get some really odd-looking loading screens and...
How often does this game have to load?
For this first level, every single door.
Why do you do this to yourself?
Because it's my mind to do as I wish. And boom! We're in the game. That cutscene is the only story we get until the ending. So, let's collect some Smarties. Because that's the main goal, really. Smarties Meltdown is set up in a 3D platformer format, where you progress through levels collecting Smarties to gain access through doors. Think of them as the notes from Banjo-Kazooie. That is, if the notes from Banjo-Kazooie didn't ever... Shut up!
We are here, Blue. We are here, Blue. We are here, Blue.
Shut up!
I like Blue's walk animation. That little son of a walk. And a commando roll for good measure. You know, I actually find his design appealing. I don't care if it's just a piece of hard-shelled chocolate. I like the Rayman-esque limbs with the mech aesthetic. Big, booming CBBC voice doesn't quite fit, though. Let's just start the first level and... What the hell's that sound?
I think the PS2 is struggling.
It's an abstract PS2. It should be flawless.
Well, that sums up the game perfectly. Even abstract entities can't fathom it.
Nonsense. But yes, I specify, in the first level, does it load every door. After that, it's just whatever it feels like. This game has an agenda. I don't know what it is, but I admire its balls. So, throughout the levels, you find power-ups for Blue. Sometimes permanent upgrades, such as projectiles, the first of which is just in a random box. Easy to miss. Thank you. The others are temporary power-ups and... What's your plan, Blue? What's your goal here? Are you gonna save Smarties? You gonna beat the big bad villain? You gonna walk around these rejected Doctor Who sets? You gonna carry this barrel around? Now throw it! Oh. Well, this game excels at something. Also, the enemies in this game keep the theme of it alive and well. Just like the collectibles in this game, the enemies don't shut up either. Sometimes I even get them mixed up. Also, I'm not sure what these guys are supposed to be. They look like gross Cheeto men. Is it a commentary on sweet versus savory? Smarties versus Cheetos? But I like both. What if I combine both?
I can't imagine that being too good.
Ha! My mind, my rules, my tastes, my regrets. So, diving further into the ingredient room, something starts to get to you. Something that's been hanging over you since the start. Every time you enter a room, every time you grab something, every time you hit a checkpoint, a pop-up comes up. Constantly! It gets to the point where the pop-ups can intrude on your platforming. Instead of pressing X to jump, I'm now pressing X to get rid of the pop-up right as I'm about to enter the jump. Stop! Stop with this! If kids are eating Smarties while playing this, they're on too high of a sugar rush to want to read all this nonsense. Also, isn't it funny how the main character is the blue Smartie, which is the one that was banned for several years?
Where's your Nestle god now, Blue? Don't spread crap. They weren't banned. They just couldn't find the right natural dye for Blue, so they had to temporarily take it out of syndication.
Is ruining schoolyard rumors part of your psychic Pokemon charm? What, next gonna tell me that the Frosty's kid didn't die? Or that characters in Captain Pugwash weren't given sex-based names? Or even that the magic roundabout isn't some allegory for drug use?
Actually, that last one might be true. I'm not certain.
Oh. This game is very educational. Like, did you know that Smarties can shoot heat rays that shrink people down? Of course they can. You just never cared. And I think this wall texture is about to explode. Run, Blue! Run if the camera allows you to. I understand if you can't. You want to know something very surprising? The platforming in this game, actually not that bad. Occasionally it has its issues with some bullshit enemies or goddamn pop-ups, but it can feel satisfying to make decent jumps. That is, of course, assuming my standards haven't just been knocked down low enough by the rest of the gameplay, such as the combat, the exploration, the combat, the camera, the combat. But hey, at least Blue can run really, really fast. We come to the boss of this level, and I use the term boss very, very loosely. The real challenge is the game letting your hits count. It's very flippant in that regard. Did you know that there's a first-person mode too? I didn't. Nor did I know that Smarties get around their factory via monorail through the power of FMVs. If FMV stands for frickin' moly, this is short. With the monorail, we find the Smartie Bank. In fact, note for next heist, Smartie Bank.
When was the last time we did a heist?
Off screen. Ironically, we haven't got the budget. It also turns out the first area we were in, that was the hub for this game. This TARDIS area means there is much more. 6 levels in fact. Next up is the mixing sector of the factory, and I actually like how each level is an order of Smartie manufacturing. I never thought I'd say that about a game. Did you know I have a GCSE in business studies? For the first time in my life, that seems relevant. Shame the mixing sector leads to a particularly bullshit section where you have to run along some rollers. Unlike Banjo-Kazooie, which had one, making it a quirky little platforming bit, here there are many. 2 at a time, meaning it sucks you into the center and hurts you while you pathetically jump around trying to grab those precious Smarties. Jump! Jump! Get them, you gangly, uncoordinated piece of confectionery!
Mewtwo, can you do me a favor and not tell anyone that I got game over in this game? I don't think I care enough to tell anyone.
Thanks, babe. While this is horrific, and ignoring the game over featuring a melted Louis Anderson, this level does step up a bit. It's like the game finally wakes up. There's almost no loading screens, actual level variety, and a good stretch of platforming combined with puzzles. I know, I'm amazed too. Doesn't last long though because the loading screens eventually come back for a boss fight. That is a bit more like a boss fight. Yet, somehow not. It has lasers and spins around, meaning there's potential of being hit, but you can just stand on the edge gathering the spawning ammo and hit its weak spots. Also, the music is small. That's honestly the best way I can put it. Moments like this also remind me why the gyro controls were invented. Who needs precision in Smarties Meltdown anyway? From the ingredients and the mixing, we go to the molding stage, which sees a very odd power-up.
Full chocolate jacket!
Because kids are gonna get Full Metal Jacket references, definitely. Kubrick fans are the true Smartie demographic.
That's a war face! Now let me see your war face!
We dive deep into the factory, which leads us to the droid factory from Star Wars with the conveyor belts and crushers. Actually, you know what? It's like they made a whole game out of Grunty Industries from Banjo-Tooie. Arguably everyone's most hated level, so yeah, the whole game was just a fantastic idea. Smarties can take falling damage. I don't get it. Let's just assume that this game is to scale, which is a horrifying concept because it means there are tiny aliens all over the place. But dropping a Smartie from this height won't do anything. I will say though that if this game is scaled to real life, that would explain why we can't hear Smarties talk. They're too small. They are unheard. You hear nothing as they are devoured. And speaking of damage, in a game where you can instantly die quite regularly due to shoddy platform placement and this bullshit, you are only allowed 5 lives. Total. That is bloody awful. There are segments in this game that grind down lives in mere minutes, so being restricted to 5 leads to some bullshit game overs. Even worse is the life up item just sits there, unobtainable. It's like that bit in Toy Story 2 when Buzz tries to grab the fake battery. It's that feeling. And you could tell me Buzz is just a purple Smartie in a spacesuit and I'd believe you.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
This game teaches life lessons. There are times in life where getting the bare minimum, that's okay. Now I could just get the exact amount needed to open the door and move on. And I will because the extra Smarties are on rollers. Ice level. Ice level. Ice level? Behold, the power of imagination. To think, I just made this place more obnoxious, frustrating, difficult to control.
No, that's just brain freeze.
Although the ice doesn't last long, the floor becomes electrified. I hate it when that happens. And what kind of business is Nestle running here? Electrified floors in a Smarties factory? Maybe that's why Blue twitches when you try to move him in a cutscene. Adorable. Hey look, a boss! There it goes. Into the polishing sector we go, and we're warned about molten sugar? That's lava. That's straight up lava! Okay, now you're just making things up. Molten sugar? That's ridiculous!
Actually, molten sugar is very real. Melted down sugar can be lethal due to the intense heat. It bubbles like lava.
And the magma-like color?
Sugar is transparent.
Wow. Okay. My respect for this game just went up. Like a tiny bit. Like a tad, like a minuscule little bit. About like 1 Smartie worth. Still from lava straight into ice, in the same vicinity, Mario Galaxy eats your heart out. I've also just noticed that the goal listed on the pause screen is often very, very behind. You could be halfway through a whole level, but it'll tell you the goal of the first room you were in. Maybe they thought no one would use this option, which, yeah, is fair enough. Every room is just collect Smarties and go forward. Occasionally hit a button. Yay. Oh wow. Space. The outer limits. So beautiful. So incandescent. So compressed. Nice little detail I do like though is that when you shrink enemies with the heat ray, their voice is raised in pitch too. Mostly because they sound like the worms from, you know, Worms. Well, it's cute until they start to gang up. Ah, damn it! Confound you mutant Teletubbies! And giant bees. Well, not really, but giant honeycombs confirm that A, bees exist on the ship somewhere, and B, thank God this game is to scale. But I'm sure that because of these bees, the floor is really slippery.
Goddamn bee vomit all over the place.
Because what is honey but bee vomit? Oh, hey, another power-up. Ah! Oh, this boss stalks you. I don't like it. It's creepy. I don't like to think about it. Until it gets caught on a fence and poses no threat throughout the entire room. So, only 4 bosses later and only 1 comes close to being a boss. The thing is, these aren't Dr. Soursweet's lackeys. The Stroopers are, and yeah, they're called Stroopers. Sounds like a slur. But the bosses are machinery, as in part of the factory. What's your goal here, Blue? So naturally, after polishing the sweet old Smarties, we go into the packing station, and honestly, this looks like a real level. Like it has proper lightings and textures that are more interesting. Of course, being a product-based game, I still like that there are real Smarties packets around the area. Don't know why. It's no more than, I know that thing in the real. But I'm easy to please, apparently. I like Smarties. Well, this room looks questionable. Frogger-like platforming, huh? Alright, let's just grab this power-up first and,
Whoa!
Why would they add a speed boost power-up next to a bunch of platforms that require precision?
Because they hate you and this is punishment for previous sins.
See, that's a friend talking right there. It gets worse though. I feel like when I die, this is all I'll see. This room. I got 3 game overs in this room because the physics throw you off. Literally. You have to jump ahead of the platforms, but you gotta do it quickly. If you play like Frogger, you'll find that the platforms don't line up. You'll see the end approach and panic, leading to death. Rooms like this make me want to take back what I said about the platforming. We built this city on rock and... What are the villain's qualifications? He's a doctor, right? But he's a sour sweet? Do they have institutions for which the possibility of obtaining a doctorate is available? How bizarre. Ah, well, out the airlock you go. But we're finally here. The end. We've seen Smarties born, mixed, molded, polished, packaged. The end of the line awaits. Now we are... Okay, I legit thought that was Shrek for a second. I think it makes the screaming a bit more justified.
No.
You think the final level would be the longest and the hardest, right? No. You press a few buttons and the boss awaits. Well, after fighting through a few enemies. Oh, well, it can't get any worse than that.
What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that?
Wipe it out! Wipe it all out! I want out of my mind!
I don't like it.
See, even you're scared!
I need out. I need this nightmare to end. Final boss, bring it. Oh, well, that solves that. At least the bosses are consistent. I admire that. Very well, please deliver the ending. I've earned it. I want out. Now.
It's game over for you, Doctor!
You have beaten me. The children of the world will be eating Smarties again.
Are you serious? Are you actually serious? They did it! They actually did it! Throughout my time, I've seen some anticlimactic endings. Inspector Gadget, Aladdin, Splatterhouse, Deadly Creatures, even Sonic Mania Plus to an extent. But this wins. Hands down. It's like 3 seconds and bam! The villain stops. Case closed. No credits either. That's why they threw them on the menu instead. And I mean that literally. It's just text over the menu. I'm only watching this out of sympathy. This ending makes me want to reevaluate my life choices. Like, that's it. That's all she wrote. Exit pursued by anticlimax. Now let's boo-boo.
This experiment was a mistake.
No. I actually learned a lot about the mind today. If we hadn't done this, I wouldn't even thought about this game.
And that's a good thing?
Yes, because you want to know what I know about Smarties Meltdown?
And that is...
Well, you know, Dave Benson Phillips, the voice of Blue, he had a death hoax once, and he gets his own section on his Wikipedia page.
That might actually be one of the more interesting things I've ever heard, actually.
See? I do know things.
Anyway, I think we'll call it there. We've done the mind. Next, you need to train your body and your soul.
Body and soul. Got it. I've got an idea.
But they do have to get through these two grown-ups. That's right, Mr. Green and Dad Carl. They'll be slipping around with loads of slosh in an effort to make the two fall over. But it is here where they have to end up. They have to put all 4 batteries in the right
That's how you eat?
to get the gun just operating
Yeah.
on the grown-up's head. First one to do so will win that round. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, energize! And off goes Scott and Harriet, batteries in hand, past their respective grown-ups as they put the first battery into the holders for this game of Energize. Scott seems to be the first away, but not by very much. That's Harriet's now.